Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com. And today I want to talk about why you do not need to clear all your limiting beliefs before you can start creating the good life. You know, many people have this mentality, and I think a lot of this is promoted by people who have coaching or seminars or something where they need people to be kept requiring their services. So maybe the coach wants to tell people, well, you need to clear these limiting beliefs. That way, the person just keeps coming back to them over and over to clear all these limiting beliefs because they got rid of one, but they supposedly have 50 more. Well, the thing is, while yes, you renew your mind, which is different than clearing limiting beliefs, because that's a different approach. You know, you say your affirmations, you do your visualization, and you're praying to God, and you're thinking from His mind, the mind of Christ. That's not about clearing limiting beliefs. First thing, many of those perceived limiting beliefs go away naturally when you start focusing on the good. And this is where people have issues. They're wanting to keep clearing limiting beliefs over and over and over again because they don't focus on the good. They're constantly reinstalling more negative limited beliefs into their minds each and every day by the media they're partaking of, social media, of course, the people who they're talking to and fellowshipping with. So they think they need all these things uninstalled when really what they need to do is stop installing, stop adding more negativity and limiting beliefs into their lives. But limiting beliefs aren't really that limiting if you will just choose to focus on the good and really keep your focus on the things that you want in a positive, upbeat manner, not a wanting, because sometimes people say, well, I was focusing on what I wanted and things got worse. But they weren't focusing on what they wanted and living as if they had that, believing they received. They were focusing on the lack of the thing. So they were focusing on the thing, but they were focusing on the fact they didn't have it yet. That can seem subtle, but it's really what most people do. When they talk about focusing on what they want, they're really focusing on the fact they don't have it yet. And that will get you nowhere fast. But if you want to create the good life, you have to follow Jesus' perfect, simple, easy to use formula that He gave us, which is in Mark chapter 11, verses 22 to 24. In verse 22, He says, have faith in God. That's your beginning. That is the foundation stone. If you don't have that faith in God, you know, you're like these people talk about, I have faith in the universe. What does that mean? The universe is a created part of God's creation. It is not God. You're worshiping the creature, not the creator at that point. So your faith must be in God, the one who created the creation, not your faith in the creation itself. That's just idolatry. Call it whatever you want, but it's idolatry. Now, once you've established your faith is in God, verse 23, Jesus says, for verily I say unto you that whosoever shall say in this mountain, so you have to speak words of faith, words of boldness, decree a thing, that whosoever shall say in this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast in the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith. That, my friend, is the formula that you need to follow. You speak, you decree the thing that you want, and you don't doubt in your heart. But you believe that those things which you say shall come to pass, you'll have whatsoever you say. In verse 24 reiterates this whole formula where Jesus says, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. If you will embrace this, stop worrying about all these limiting beliefs that you perceive that you have, because here's the thing, when you're focused on limiting beliefs, you are now getting more of that. Because your focus, what you're focused on, is what you're going to attract more of, is what you're giving more energy to, it's what you're building up. You focus on the negativity, you get more negativity. You focus on limiting beliefs, you get more limiting beliefs. You may think you're clearing limiting beliefs when instead you're just emboldening them and making things worse. Now, that's not to say you can't look at your life, examine it, see what's going on in it, see areas where you've made mistakes, areas where you seem to be in a pattern of making the same mistake, and then change that. But that's different from worrying about some limiting belief. Because if you will do this, if you will focus on what Jesus said, you'll have your faith in God. You'll speak those things that you want. You'll decree them. And you won't doubt in your heart. But you believe that those things that you say shall come to pass. You'll have whatsoever you say. Doesn't matter. It doesn't say anything about limiting beliefs. Well, this would work. But, if you have a limiting belief, it won't. Do you think the people Jesus was talking to didn't have limiting beliefs? I guarantee you they did. Many of which were hoisted upon them by the religious traditions of men that they were following in that time. But he doesn't address that at all. Because when your faith is in God, limiting beliefs can't stop that. When your faith is in God and you're speaking and decreeing things by faith, limiting beliefs can't stop that. When you don't doubt in your heart, limiting beliefs can't stop that. When you believe those things you say shall come to pass, limiting beliefs can't stop that. You will have whatsoever you say. Now, I have to reiterate, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get rid of limiting beliefs. I'm just saying the way you do it is by operating by faith and not by sight. Not by going back and dredging up the past, trying to figure out if someone said something to you about money when you were 5 years old and that caused you to be fearful and use coupons. No! Get rid of that nonsense. Many times these things that people come up with, they dream up, are just figments of their imagination. They're creating a scenario that somehow they perceive as why they're now not rich and successful. Because my mom one time told me no, and it made me feel like I was limited. And no, stop. Those things, there may be things in your life that hindered you, that made you have the wrong mentality, but I guarantee you've reinforced that through negativity, through talking to people who are negative, through watching the world's media and partaking of that kind of stuff. That's where most people get that supposed limiting belief reinforced and re-ingrained into them. But I'm telling you, you don't have to even worry about that. If you'll focus on being the creator, the co-creator with God that you're created to be, focus on your faith in God, focus on speaking forth words of faith, focus on your consistent faith, your unwavering, undoubting faith, and truly believing that the things you say will come to pass, you will have whatsoever you say. I don't care if you have 1,000 limiting beliefs. And what will happen is, and this is important, because I don't want you to think you can just walk around and have all this mess going on in your mind. As you do that, and you walk by faith and not by sight, as you believe that you'll have whatsoever you say, those limiting beliefs start deactivating. You don't have to clear them. You don't have to go through some retreat. You don't have to spend years working on them. I know people who have spent decades supposedly working on their limiting beliefs and clearing them. They're always clearing limiting beliefs. How many do you have that you're still doing that and you still got nowhere? And I know that may be a little harsh, but I want people to wake up. Because I know everybody's telling you that. You got to clear this limiting belief. You got to do this thing to clear limiting beliefs. Oh, this new technique to clear limiting beliefs. My friend, you want to clear the most limiting beliefs you could possibly clear? Focus on your faith in God. Focus on believing that the things you say will come to pass and truly walking in that faith and not by sight. Those things will fall away. You are no longer giving those quote-unquote limiting beliefs any energy. Your energy is all invested in the faith of God, walking by faith and not by sight, truly believing that those things which you say shall come to pass. And you, my friend, will have whatsoever you say. I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.